I can do all things, 'cause you give me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I'm living by faith. Nothing is impossible. Down, I know that you're here. I know that you can do anything. I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause you give me strength. Nothing is impossible with you. Blind eyes are open. Possible. I can do anything. I can do all things, 'cause you give me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I'm living by faith. Nothing is impossible. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe.
Hey guys, this week on Kids Church, we're learning about the story of Joseph. This guy, standing right here with his hand up. Joseph's father was Jacob. Jacob had 11 other sons, but loved Joseph the most. Jacob loved Joseph so much that he gave him a rainbow coat, which made his brothers jealous. Unfortunately, it gets worse from here. Joseph began having dreams that not many other people have. He dreamed that wheat, yes, wheat, and his brothers bowed down to him. This made his brothers even angrier. They began talking about how to get rid of him. Eventually, they decided to trap him and throw him into a well. While he was in the well, Egyptian slave traders came by, and sold Joseph off. He stayed in Egypt for years as a prisoner. Eventually, the Pharaoh had a dream. No one else in his kingdom could figure it out, so Joseph was called upon for help. With God's help, Joseph figured out that a famine was approaching, and he warned the Pharaoh of the upcoming plague. Joseph was put in charge, second command of all of Egypt, and he was in charge of giving out food to people who needed them. Joseph's brothers were suffering, and they traveled down to Egypt for food. They bowed down to Joseph and begged for food, which is what his dream showed. Joseph eventually revealed that he is in fact their brother. The brothers did not expect forgiveness, but Joseph gave it to them anyway, and talked about how God ended up using evil for good. Through this story, we can see that God has a plan, even though it might not look like it.
Have you ever found one of these at your house? Well, not sushi, even though sushi's awesome. I'm talking about one of these. It's a map. Maps help you find where to go. Say you moved into a new town and you had to find your way to school or maybe church. Or maybe you went on vacation and you need a map to know where to go, where all the good spots are. Maps can be from maybe this small to something that is this big. Of course, you wouldn't need a map that big, but that's just an example. Imagine you were to get lost and the only thing you could use were road maps. It'd be pretty scary, but you'd have to look for where you are, then you'd have to look for the right road, and if you're lucky, you could find a place to stop and ask for directions. Well, the good thing is, you don't have to use these most of the time anymore, because most people have a smartphone or a GPS. These are better because not only do they give you directions, but they also tell you where you are at any given time. God is like the GPS in our lives, because instead of trying to find the path on our own using a road map, we can trust Him and He'll lead us to our destination. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." God knows where we are, how far off the path we are, and what it takes to get us there, and God will never say no when we ask for help. The story of Joseph is a great example of this because he was sold into slavery by his brothers and then forced to live as a prisoner for years. But God still put him on the path to save lots of lives. As a prisoner, Joseph didn't know what was going to happen next, but he trusted God to put him in the place where he needed to be. God has a direction and plan for your life. All it takes is a willing heart to follow His lead. Remember Jeremiah 29:11. Don't be afraid and trust in God.